Hello students, welcome back to my class. Today we are going to study 4 letters written by the prominent American poet of 19th century, Emily Dickinson, to one of her friends, Mrs. Bowles. And these 4 letters, they were written between 1858 and 1861, which was the early period of her literary career. And Emily Dickinson, as we know, was a prolific American poet who composed around 1800 poems. And all these poems very vividly reflect Dickinson's personality, her private world, and her perception of the outer world from that exclusivity of privacy. But her sensibility as a poet sometimes borders on the unconscious self, where she lapses into a state of sheer innocence, like a child, vividly remembering about many incidents, anecdotes of the past and relating it to the present context. Thus, some of the critics find her to be a highly engaging artist. And along with the great number of poems, she also wrote a considerable amount of letters, personal letters, which also very exquisitely represent Dickinson as an artist. So, as an epistolary artist, she excels in representing her exclusive private world, her alienation, but at the same time, her desire, her hankering to belong to the mainstream life and the flow of it. Therefore, we find in his poetry as well as in his essays an inspirational style that was inspired from everyday life, representing lots of emotion, lots of feelings. She led a reclusive life, we all know, and particularly after her mother's illness from 1850s. She gradually became alienated and she confined herself to her place, her home in Amherst in Massachusetts of America. And her reclusiveness became a myth through her poems as well as her letters. Her letters are written with cryptic and elusive style, dazzling with verbal effects, very sensitively attuned to the recipients. The present 4 letters, they are addressed to Mrs. Bowles, the wife of Samuel Bowles, who was the editor-in-chief of Springfield Republican magazine, with whom Emily became very close friend, and particularly with Mrs. Bowles, she exhibits a great sense of freedom and intimacy, which is being expressed in these 4 letters. So let us look at these letters. The first letter was written in winter 1858. If you look at the language, you can find that how the language is so simple, so childlike, but beneath that simplicity, we find a very figurative language, a language that immediately connects the binary world, the diversities of life, and it exhibits a craving, a penchant for belonging to the individual relationship, which is very typically the spirit of Dickinson's artistic consciousness. So here in the first letter, she is writing, "Dear Mrs. Bowles, you send sweet messages. Remembrance is more sweet than robins in May orchards." So remembrance is more sweet than robins in May orchards. So immediately she brings in the nature. From her early career as a poet, she was influenced by Wordsworth and S.W. Longfellow, as well as Shakespeare, these romantic poets, the poets who glorified nature, fell in love with nature. So immediately she brings in the remembrance with robins in May. I love to trust that round bright fires, some braver than I take my pilgrim name. How are Papa, Mama, and the little people? So the letter is exhibiting a sense of privacy, intimacy, and at the same time, it is also relating to the nature outside and her love for nature. Thank you for bright bouquet, and afterwards, Bharvana, I made a plant of a little bough of yellow heliotrope, which the bouquet bore me, and call it Mary Bowles. So look at her feelings, look at her emotions being expressed, that how out of the bouquet presented by Mrs. Bowles, she could create a heliotrope and named it after her. And you can look at her language again. It storms in Amherst 5 days. It snows and then it rains, and then soft fogs like veils hang on all the houses, and then the days turn topaz like a lady's pin. So this is the specific language that Virginia Woolf was talking about in her essay, A Room of Her Own, when she was trying to find the woman to develop a particular language of their own. They should not imitate the language of the patriarchy. So Emily Dickinson in 19th century already had created a language of her own, which is having nothing to do with the patriarchal format or the patriarchal representative spirit or system. And in the letter, she is going on, I put both hands on the window pane and try to think how birds fly and imitate and fail like Mr. Rasselas. She is also referring to various other literature, literary characters, saints, and all that. Because the character Mr. Rasselas, which was taken from the American history of aeronaut, that Professor Loy, that she was trying unsuccessfully to fly or navigate through a balloon. So here she is alluding to that by telling that she was also trying to fly like the birds, or she was trying to send her thoughts like the birds or those balloons of Professor Loy, or the character in Samuel Johnson's novel Rasselas. But how she has failed miserably and how she is craving to go outside her home. But it is a self-inflicted alienation, and how she is craving to come in contact with the outer world. And she is also writing about her pet, the most favorite doggy, Carlo. I talk all these things with Carlo, and his eyes grow meaning, and his saggy feet keep a slower pace. Are you safe tonight? I hope you may be glad. I ask God on my knee to send you much prosperity, few winter days and long suns. I have a childish hope to gather all I love together and sit down beside and smile. She is telling that like a child, as the child always wants all her toys, all her loved ones sitting together with him or her, she also wants all her loved ones coming together. Therefore, she is inviting Mrs. Bowles, will you come to Amherst? The streets are very cold now, but we will make you warm. But if you never came, perhaps you could write a letter. She is desiring, she is demanding out of love that if you don't come, at least you send a letter. I will find your company through the letter. Then in the second letter, written in 1859, she is telling about the gift that Mrs. Bowles sent to her, and she is telling that I thank dear Mrs. Bowles for the little book, except my cheek is red with shame because I write so often. Even the lilies of the field have their dignities. So look at the sensibility. She is telling that I often write to you and probably I am intruding into your privacy, your life of your family. Even the lilies in the field have more dignities than me because I couldn't remain. I write. Why did you bind it in green and gold, the immortal colors? I take it for an emblem. I never read before what Mr. Parker wrote. So he's telling your book, it is such a favorite with me that I think as if I have not read anything before that. So that book, The Two Christmas Celebrations, written by Theodore Parker, that you have given me, I often read. And I heard that he was poison. Then I like poison very well. And she is telling, people criticize Mr. Parker, but I like his writing, his style of writing. And she is telling, I give you all New Year. I think you kept gay Christmas from the friend's account. She is wishing her a new year as well as a very happy Christmas, and is telling that today is very cold, yet have I much bouquet upon the window pane of moss and fern. The moss and fern, they are to her like the bouquets which are not moving much in the air, but they are more stable, lingering in that place. So she loves the nature. Not only the beautiful part of the nature which we generally consider as beautiful. She considers each and every part of the nature beautiful, significant, engaging, loving. So she loves the moss, she loves the fawns on her window panes. The snow is very tall, which makes the trees so low that they tumble my hair when I cross the bridge. So, very artistically, as well as in a very photographic manner, she is presenting the view that how her hair is being blown back when she was crossing the little walking bridge on the river, and how that made her feel ecstatic. I think there will be no spring this year. The flowers are gone so far. Let us have spring in our heart and never mind the orchids. So she is telling, even the spring doesn't come, we have the spring in our heart. So why should we be sad? Why we should mourn? Please have my love, mothers and Vinage. She is also conveying her mother and her younger sister Vinnie's love to the children. Carlos sends a brown kiss and Pussy a grey and white one to each of the children. So this is beautiful expression of simplest love. The simplest emotions expressed in the simplest of the language with the simplest of imageries. Then we have the third letter written in 1861 on the birth of a son, when Mr. and Mrs. Bowles got their fourth child, a son. She is telling, "Dear Mary, can you leave your flower long enough just to look at mine? Which is the prettiest?" So she is telling, your newborn child is the flower and I have my flower in the garden. Just have a look at me. Don't get only engaged with your child. You must not stay in Newark and more. You must come back now and bring the blanket to Massachusetts. And she is telling, you bring your little infant to Massachusetts, to Amherst at least. Don't stay in Newark. You bring the blanket. Your blanket suggesting all your children. What a responsible shepherd, 4 lambs in one flock. And she is congratulating Mr. Samuels that what a responsible shepherd, having 4 children, 4 lambs in one flock. Tell him, I have got a pussy for him with a spotted gown and a dog with ringlets. So she is also offering her gifts for the child, the newborn baby, like a child herself. And the fourth letter, and there is a poem, Baby, in this letter. It is also written in August 1861. And she is writing, Mary, I do not know of you a long while. I remember you several times. It is for a long time that you have not written to me or I have not written to you. I wish I knew if you kept me. So she wants to know why she has made her wait for her letters. The doubt like the mosquito buzzes round my faith. So look at the imagery. The doubt like the mosquito, the simile. The mosquito is like, the doubt is like mosquito, buzzes around my faith. So she is having some doubt whether Mrs. Bowles took it otherwise or what, whether she is engaged with her children or she thought that Emily is too intrusive. Did it wait for me? Did it go to with the company, cruel company, who have the stocks and farms and creeds, and it has just its heart? I hope you are glad. Mary, no pebbles in the brook today, no film unknown. And again, through those natural imageries, very simple, basic natural imageries. She is expressing her thoughts, her doubts, her fears, her anxieties, everything in a very lucid manner through the letter. I can think how you look. You can think how I look. I have got more freckles since you saw me. So, she is also talking about the looks, that she has developed more freckles. Summer went very fast. She got as far as the woman from the hill. Who brings the blueberry? And that is a song, that is a long way. So, very beautifully, in a poetic manner, she is writing the letter. She is expressing her feelings, her thoughts, her ideas. How is your garden, Mary? Are the pinks true? The sweet William faithful? I have got a geranium like a sultana. So again, these things are coming again and again. Therefore, her language is becoming highly figurative. It is giving a new sense of exploring our childhood, exploring our innocence, exploring our natural state of mind. Please remember me, because I remember you always. My river runs to thee, blue sea, wilt welcome me? She is also asking the question. My emotions are flowing towards you. Will you receive it? Don't cry, dear Mary. Let us do that for you, because you are too tired now. We don't know how dark it is, but if you are at sea, perhaps when we say that we are there, you won't be as afraid. The waves are very big, but everyone that covers you covers us too. Emily had a great faith in God, and she was very well conversant with the Bible. She comes from a well-known family of the Catholics. So, she is expressing that in this way. The waves are very big, the troubles are there. When Mr. Bowles was ill, he was suffering. But everyone that covers you covers us too. She is talking about the mercy of God. Dear Mary, you can't see us, but we are close at your side. May we comfort you. And she is comforting Mary with these loving words. So here in these letters, what we find, that she is not only a prolific poet, but an exquisite epistolary artist. Because once she said that a letter always feels to me like immortality, because it is the mind alone without corporeal friend. So she has compared the letter with that spirit of the individual who is in interaction or who is engaged with a friend, which is the immortal friendship. And her letters have thus become a major source of her biography, because about her life, most things were not known till the letters were explored. And the letters show an exciting and engaged mind at work, one whose love of isolation and somewhat secluded style of living have given rise to numerous speculative ideas. And in her letters also we find striking impressions of simplicity and noticeable lack of self-consciousness. She is not at all self-conscious as an artist, which T.S. Eliot wanted, that an artist must sacrifice the self when he or she moves towards maturity. From that point of view, Emily is a great artist. But at the same time, also we find in her letter wit and immediacy that holds the thread of the letters together. So, in this way, Emily Dickinson emerges as one of the greatest letter writers, and particularly a true feminist letter writer. If we take into consideration her language, her imageries, her style, and the seamless movement of her letters or her thoughts within the letters between the binaries of life. So, from these letters, we can discuss about few questions. One question we can take by taking the quotation from her confession. A letter always feels to me like immortality because it is the mind alone without corporeal friend. Analyze the letters of Emily Dickinson from the point of view of this statement. Or the question could be, Emily Dickinson's letters give away her reclusiveness and a strong desire for interpersonal intimacy. Analyze Dickinson's letters in your syllabus to find out whether it is justified. And we find that Emily Dickinson, as a poet and as a letter writer, had exerted immense influence on the subsequent writers, and particularly on 20th century feminist writers. And her closed private domain seldom opened to anyone outside her immediate circle. Therefore, her writing creates a sense of difficulty and mystery. So, there is a sense of difficulty as well as there is a sense of mystery. We have to again and again read it to find out exactly what she intends. She can be easily categorized as a regional poet, but at the same time, we can find the exploration of the visible world around herself makes her a true artist. Critics find in her writing a more notable depiction of privacy which can easily supersede 20th century imagists, the imagist movement, and symbolists. Particularly in her letters, she exhibits profound emotion and exclusively private world and its unfolding. They are testimony to the occasional glimpses of her joy, sorrow, sharing, so on and so forth. In our 4 letters, which are addressed to Mrs. Bowles, we find that they provide vital glimpses into a very resourceful and zestful life in confinement. Though she opted for the confinement, but she is very zestful, very resourceful. She always wants to explore. In her poems also, she wants to explore the school life, the nature and everything. She has sustained in them the reclusive myth of Amherst in her typical cryptic and elusive style. They exhibit dazzling verbal effects and elaborate sensitivity attuned to the recipient, Mrs. Bowles. As an epistolary artist, she is exquisite and profound. Her use of language and rhetoric are inspired by everyday life and its insignificance. She is not focusing on only the significant images. Rather, she is making a deliberate choice of the insignificant images, insignificant experiences, both in her poetry as well as in her letters. That is the way of representing her spirit before the reader. Besides, she also employs a lot of emotion in an open manner, but within the shell of intimacy. It can be said about Emily as a writer of letters that the ordinary and domestic themes and images bring a unique individuality. Social responsiveness, intimacy, wit, and immediacy of effect. Higgins complements the letters of Dickinson as a fine blending of the binaries in her life. So, in this way, different critics appreciate her as an exquisite letter writer who binds so many things together and expresses them in such an exclusive and exquisite manner that is very difficult to imitate. So, I hope you will be benefited from this and you will be able to answer the questions that comes in your exam. Thank you.